Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and holy crap, this is pretty much unprecedented, right? Turns out that Sony has pulled Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store after thousands of complaints that the game is virtually unplayable on a base PS4. I don't think a game of this magnitude, AAA title like this, has ever been yanked out of the Sony store. So this is kind of a shocking turn of events. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how a lot of people are comparing this debacle unfavorably to No Man's Sky. Now, disclaimer, we own Cyberpunk 2077. We've played several hours of Cyberpunk 2077. In fact, Squid King has been playing it nonstop since we downloaded it the other day on release day, and we love it. We love it, but there's a huge disclaimer in there. But we are playing it on an i9 gaming rig. We're talking a $2,000+ desktop computer versus $300-400 console, last gen console at this point. So there have been a lot of problems with the PS4 version in particular, and I'm hearing not so good things about the Xbox One. Frankly, I think they should have just not released it for those consoles if it's in such a state, but Sony has actually stepped in and said, yeah, we're yanking it from the store. I mean, we've been following this for the last week or so since launch, and the game itself, when it's playable, is actually pretty good. But we're talking a Ferrari versus a Kia or something, at this point. Like it's apples and oranges, the performance you're going to get out of this game, depending on where you're playing it. And a lot of players are going to be playing it on PS4. I mean, the game was in development for 8-10 years. And you would think that in the 8 or 10 years they developed this game, that somebody would have said, hey, you know what? It doesn't work too good on the PS4. Maybe we should hold off on that. But you got to get those sales in. And this, shows me where the gaming industry is right now. Speaking of No Man's Sky, that's another game that turned out to be very, very good. After 3 or 4 years of patches, it wound up being the game that was promised in 2016. And game developers now don't have to have everything spit shine before they release the games because they know they can patch them. Compare this to games that were released on cartridges and on CD-ROM, where you got one chance to get it right. There was no updating. Even now, Switch games, they do updates all the time. So it's definitely changed the way that games are played and distributed. And I have to wonder if a lot of developers are like, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it with a patch later. And CD Projekt Red is coming out and saying, hey, this game will be great in like 3 or 4 months. But that's not good enough for Sony. So let's talk about that. Before we get into it, check out our shop at shopclownfish.com. You've got 3 days, a little over 3 days to order our latest pin set. And I don't know how many of these are going to be available after they're manufactured. The only way to guarantee that you will get one is to pre-order them. I know with the Bubbly Steve pins, which we have a handful left, I think we're down to like 10 or 12 of these that are left over after the initial drive. We sold another couple hundred this Christmas. We didn't even know we were going to have any left. And the manufacturer was like, oh, we got some. It's like, okay, fine, throw them up in the store. But when they're gone, they're 100% gone as far as I'm aware right now. But these pins, you can still grab them. Kneon and Geeky. She's got her brush. I got my pencil, and we're ready to talk shop. And please give us a sub if you haven't done so already. We're over 160,000 subs, guys. Thanks for the support. Geeky is not in this video because I don't think she really cares about Cyberpunk at all. She knows Squid King's playing it. She knows we played it. We were going to play it on the gaming channel, but the computer that we used to stream is actually an HP Omen laptop, and it was so processor intensive that we couldn't actually record the video footage and play the game. Because we had the settings maxed out stupidly, and then we got the footage. We had a couple hours of footage, and it's like, oh my god, this is unusable. It was stuttering, and it was pretty horrible. But the gameplay itself was fine. It used all the resources. I imagine what we filmed is probably something like what PS4 players are experiencing. So let's talk about this. Even NPR is talking about it. After a swarm of bugs, Sony pulls Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store. Sony has pulled the highly anticipated game Cyberpunk 2077 from its PlayStation Store and is offering a full refund for anyone who bought the game online. The move comes after a week of criticism from fans saying the version of the game made for consoles didn't live up to technical expectations, especially for players on older consoles like the PS4. In a statement posted on the page Sony set up to process refunds, the company says the game will be removed from the store until further notice. So let's go check this out. This is the Cyberpunk. Man, they have their own page set up. Cyberpunk 2077 refund page. Sony strives to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction. Therefore, we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via the PlayStation Store. Sony will also be removing Cyberpunk 2077 from PlayStation Store until further notice. Once we have confirmed that you purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via the PlayStation Store, we will begin processing your refund. Please note that the completion of the refund may vary based on your payment method and financial institution. I don't think this has ever happened. A lot of people on Twitter said that this is completely unprecedented. Even with other launch disasters like Fallout 76, the closest thing, again, I can think of is No Man's Sky. And we'll talk about what people are saying in regards to No Man's Sky, which now in 2020 is actually a very good game. I highly recommend it for PC. Again, I can't speak to the console versions of it, but the PC version in 2020 is actually pretty good for No Man's Sky. It just took them 3 or 4 years. So the developer, CD Projekt Red, said in a statement that the decision was made following a discussion with Sony. Sony probably being like, what the hell, guys, what the hell? The game will still be available to purchase online as well as at brick and mortar stores and will continue to receive updates. There's a lot of hype behind Cyberpunk 2077's release based on a cult favorite tabletop game from the 80s. Its vast open world game set in a dystopian future coming from a well-respected developer and starring Keanu Reeves. It had been in development for 8 years, and CD Projekt Red pushed back its original April 2020 release date multiple times, which only stoked anticipation. You thought they were pushing it back to get it right, I guess. I don't know. And the bad news gets worse. According to Market Insider, Cyberpunk 2077, the publisher stock, that'd be CDPR, their publisher stock plummets 22% after Sony pulls the buggy game from its online store and offers refunds. I'm going to bullet point this here. CD Projekt stock tumbled as much as 22% to a 9-month low on Friday. The Cyberpunk 2077 developer shed up to $1.8 billion in market capitalization after Sony said it would pull the buggy game from its PlayStation Store. CD Projekt apologized for disappointing players and promised to fix the problems in the coming weeks. After 3 delays, we were too focused on releasing the game, co-CEO Adam Kaczynski said during an analyst call this week it was the wrong approach against our business philosophy. So it is definitely hurting their bottom line, not to mention all the money that they're going to have to give back and the black eye that they're going to take for future releases. People are going to wonder now, is CD Projekt going to release games that are not finished just to get them out the damn door? Hopefully they learned from this, but yeah, this is not good, guys. It's not good. I mean, this is what's so frustrating about this, because we've seen gaming journos come after this game very, very hard. And now they've got all kinds of ammo, like, oh my God, Cyberpunk 2077 is a complete clusterfuck. Not reading the small print, that's attached to the asterisks that is Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4 is a complete disaster, or was a complete disaster. The PC version, as far as I'm concerned, is actually very, very good and will probably get better as they continue to patch it. But it is troubling that game studios can drop titles, before they're ready, before they're show ready, I guess, as Disney says. They're not ready. You're basically getting a beta, but they're shoving it out the door because people are screaming for this game. It's the holidays, and people are like, it's taken you 8 years. What the hell is going on? And sometimes it takes longer than that to get a game right, especially a AAA title. But we're seeing these games pushed out the door before they're ready. And this happens a lot with Kickstarter. Kickstarter games I've seen pushed out the door way before they're ready. I mean, I've said before about Mighty Number 9. I think if people weren't complaining so much about the lateness of Mighty Number 9, we probably would have had an extra year or two of development, and it would have been a damn fine game. Instead, it's just a budget cut Mega Man game that nobody remembers now. It came and went, and that's it. And, this kind of happened with No Man's Sky, too, where they hyped this game up to unbelievable levels. And, they were doing the talk show circuit and all that. And then when the game dropped, it was like, is this it? Squid King was incredibly excited for No Man's Sky. I remember when it came out. I mean, we're talking little Squid King. This was like 4 years ago. And he was pumped for this game. And he actually stayed up until midnight so he could download it on PS4. And he started playing it. And he's like, what the hell is this? It's just you in a spaceship going to planets with weird looking monsters and just stuff. There's hardly anything to do. And, he actually stopped playing the game for a year or two, and then they started patching it, and then we bought it again on Steam, and he started playing the PC version, and he was like, wow, this is actually, it's pretty good now. In fact, he does play it often and talks about it, but people were making that comparison. They said, hello games after their disastrous No Man's Sky launch. It can't get much worse than this. CD Projekt Red, hold my beer. Again, people not expecting this from CD Projekt Red. PC version's fine. PS4 version is not. IGN talking about it. Everybody's talking about this. Fallout 76 failed in so many regards, not just the actual gameplay, but its effects outside of that. No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk were just glitchy and overhyped. So they're saying it's not as bad as Fallout 76, which I don't even think we bothered. Come to think of it, we never bothered buying Fallout 76 because we heard so many bad things about it. Don't worry, guys. Cyberpunk will win Best Ongoing Game 2 years from now when they fix all the bugs they released the game with, just like No Man's Sky was just awarded with this honor now that they did add all the stuff they promised in the first place. I think that, again, it's the pressure from the gaming community to release a game before it's ready, and AAA titles take a long time to develop. They felt like they had to shove it out the door. I mean, the smart thing to do would have been like, the PS4 version's not ready. It's just not. It's not ready for prime time. And it's not even worth releasing for PS4 at this point. And yeah, we're going to take a hit in sales, but wait, we'll release a better PS5 version and we'll focus on PC. In my honest opinion, Cyberpunk 2077 in its current state is still better than No Man's Sky when it launched. Yeah, Squid King was incredibly disappointed with No Man's Sky. It was like 10% of the game that they promised. At least Cyberpunk has content. No Man's Sky had nothing in the game that they sold us on. That is true. No, Dad, I'm not talking about No Man's Sky. I'm talking about Cyberpunk. Well, the difference being one's a finished game and the other one's Cyberpunk 2077. Ooh. Yeah, so not a good look, guys. I think they probably should just cancel the PS4 version. You can't run a game like this on old hardware very well. And they're just going to keep patching a game for a console that's going to be in the rearview mirror in another couple of years. Why bother? That's my personal opinion. But there it is, pretty much unprecedented as far as I know. And, it's sad that this is, going to taint the whole experience because the game is pretty good. If you can play it on the right equipment, it's a pretty good game and it's going to get better. But it's always going to have this cloud over it now of, the PS4 version being so disastrous that Sony pulled it from the store. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.